And good day, my name is Mark Johnston. I'm your host here at Your Vote, your TV's coverage of the 2022 municipal election. And at this point, I have the great pleasure to welcome Angela Grogan, who is running for mayor in the municipality of Port Hope. Angela, thank you for joining us.
Mark, thank you for the privilege of being here.
Well, let's journey together in this segment if we can, Angela. We'd love to get to know you both on the politics lens and also on the human lens. I like to sort of dance in both spaces. So congratulations on the opportunity running for mayor in the municipality of Port Hope. I know there's quite an ample selection of people running for different positions in Port Hope. So this is our opportunity to get to know Angela one-on-one here and really explore the platform, your vision, your intent as mayor of Port Hope, and move into a few different directions. So I'd like to start off by asking a general summary, Angela, of where you come from. You have your eye on the position of mayor in Port Hope, but what do viewers need to know about where Angela comes from before this point?
Well, I would say that Angela has come from a place of mindfulness in all that she considers, included running for mayor. I arrived in Port Hope 10 years ago, and I always consider myself a quick learner, and that's a gift that I really embrace. So moving to a community, you have to be an integral, you have to be part of it. Mm-hmm. So I became a part, and my house is on a main street, and most of the residents were very new too. Mm-hmm. So we would hold open court, and it would be about the things we love about Port Hope. Mm-hmm. I love Port Hope. Port Hope would always be my home. I'm never going back. And I realized that my neighbors were having the same feelings. But then, as we look around, we saw a lot of things that we realized that could be improved or things that were missing. And that started me on my journey of looking at not so much politics, but having a voice. Yes, and that's where I came from, having a voice. And there were times when I felt that there was no place for my voice. And then I became almost like an advocate for my neighbors who also felt they had no voice.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Mayor Sanderson and his time, because this is a turning point in Port Hope's history where we've had somebody who has been in office for 2 terms, which means opportunity is here. Yes. So seeing how Mayor Sanderson has done as mayor in Port Hope and the council and some of the things that have been achieved, what are your thoughts on how things are currently? And then turning focus to what absolutely needs to change in your opinion.
Okay. I would not want to put my personal opinion, which is probably the same as my neighbors, but what I'm seeing that our municipality is stagnant. Okay. The word stagnant in all its meaning. We lack transparency. We lack proactiveness. We're lacking the ability to recognize that Port Hope has changed. And that's the biggest challenge for the present council. And I would say for the mayor too. 2021, on a Chamber of Commerce interview, town hall, I brought up the proposal that we need to look at having a diverse equity and inclusion committee. Never heard back. And that struck me that a town that's growing and visibly changing, no one would reach out to me and even explore the possibilities of what do you mean by a diverse equity inclusion committee. So as I said, there's some wonderful things that have been done by Mayor Sanderson and council. I'm not saying that nobody ever did anything well, but I'm saying we need to move on. The changes here. Yeah, we need one Port Hope, one voice, and we want it for everyone who's coming.
Nicely said. I am curious if that moment was a bit of an impetus for you, Angela, when you didn't hear back to say, I need to step further into the limelight here. Tell me more about that.
That was the big moment. Because, I have a saying that if I am not invited to the table because there's no chair for me, I should make my own chair and bring it to the table. So this is exactly what I did. I've made my own chair and I'm bringing it to the table. But I'm not bringing it to the table with a presumption motion. I know that residents are asking me to leave your chair at the table on behalf of us. And I'm feeling that as I walk through Ward 1 and Ward 2. As I meet people on the pathway, on the trails, as I meet people in the subsidized housing, that have gone. I've even ridden the bus, and I don't have to say who I am. People are recognizing me, and then they're contacting me to give me their voice. So Port Hope has a surge of people who wants to be engaged. And I have stepped forward, and as mayor, I will continue that.
Very good, thank you for that. I am curious in terms of your vision for Port Hope, Angela, as you step into this opportunity and look at a position of mayor of a remarkable community.
Yes.
That idea of, in the production and television business, we call it the elevator pitch. If you were to have a few moments just to say, here are the 2 or 3 key foundational pillars of my campaign, what would you share?
Well, the first one would be engagement of our community. The second one is to look at the human resources, how we are managing proactively the people without shelter, the seniors who are now 45% of our population, how we're looking at the children who are now 6 classrooms in 1 public school, how we are also looking at ourselves as council. What are our responsibilities? Are we engaging based on what we were elected for? Or are we becoming simply a team of people who decide amongst ourselves what we will put out? So that's the pillar of my foundation. And then you have all the, budgetary aspects of how we spend taxes, how we need to include more industry to offset the burden of our tax. So I'm always saying it's not only about taxes. I strongly believe in human beings and the quality of life that we could bring to them, whatever capacity that means for them.
Wonderful, thank you for that. We have about 5 minutes till our first break, so a little more time to explore with you, Angela, this idea. The whole wave your magic wand moment and say it's 4 years later. What is it that you'd like to look back as mayor of Port Hope and say, these are the key things we've achieved?
The first one, I would like to say that no one will be left out in the cold or in the heat because they didn't find shelter to sleep. No one will be stepped over while paramedics are administrating, giving aid because of a drug overdose. We would have harm reduction center. No mother would feel that she has to rush from the 401 because daycare centers are closing at 5:30 and she needs a better wage by going to Toronto. And most of all, that we would attract more doctors, more professionals who wants to stay because we have housing, transportation, all the things they need to make their lives meaningful in Port Hope.
Wonderful, thank you for that. That level of work, in my opinion, would take a great deal of teamwork and interactivity and collaboration at a council level.
Yes.
What are your thoughts as a leader in the position of Mayor Port Hope and how you would run that energy with a team around you?
Well, remember, don't forget our staff. The municipality have an intelligent, professional group of people who are the backbone or maybe the core of all the ideas that council and the mayor will come up. They're the ones who are going to research and help implement the strategies and guide us through. So I would look to work with a whole set of people, not forgetting the stakeholders in different advisory committees, how we choose them and what they bring to the table. So as I said, my table would be without chairs. I would invite people to build their chairs and bring it. So that way we can sit as a group, collaborate, and facilitate some of the things that we're seeing right now, because those are the things that we need to deal with. We can't say, let's look for things in year 1, 2, and 3. We've got some problems that we need to deal with now.
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Those that would say Angela is brand new to this territory, how would you speak to those people?
I could speak to those people. Angela is almost 70 years old. She's not too new to anything. Angela has had a life in corporates. Angela has run 2 successful businesses. Angela was a teacher of people who were mentally and physically challenged, and she brought innovative classroom programs that now have those same people being integrated into different hotels. And when Angela started all of that, people thought she was a daydreamer. but she was excited because she thought she could make a change in people's life. And I will also make an important point. People must remember that a municipality is basically a corporation. And if you have run 2 corporations like me, the structure is the same. The CEO, Angela, the board of directors or councilors, and the shareholders, the taxpayers and residents. And when we trickle it down, the responsibility is to the taxpayers. So I'm glad I'm the fresh eyes and I'm not a career council member. I can make that difference.
It's a certain energy. I appreciate that very much, Angela. Yeah. Thank you for that. I always like to go a little more on the human side versus purely politics.
Yes.
Can you share with me something that our audience doesn't know about Angela? What is it about Angela that we should know?
The first thing they should know about Angela, that she can entertain like a comedian. She's a good dancer, and she just loves to have fun. And it's exhibited through my friendships, and my friends would always say, people don't even know that part about you. And most of all, I'm the proud mother of 2 sons who I love a lot. And I grew up in Barbados and came to Canada when I was just about 24 years old.
Wonderful,
yes.
Thank you. I'm going to take one of your comments into the next question, which is this idea of having fun. It's something as a human that draws you. Port Hope has remarkable events, cultural experiences, festivities, street fairs, etc. Tell me a little bit about your vision for that, given that's part of your passion.
Yes, I think the vision for that is I want to see more inclusiveness in our arts and entertainment.
Yes.
I want to see our members who have equity interests, LGBTQ communities, I want to see them being able to celebrate with us. I want to see all the other ethnic groups bring their celebrations to our bandstand. I want to see during the holidays such as Christmas and Hanukkah and Diwali, I want to see those displayed at our bandstand and having the representatives of those communities teach us about their culture. And that's the only way we can start saying we have purposely formed a DEI group of people. I find that having just a Christmas tree has always been something that bothered me, even though I'm Christian.
I understand.
Yes.
Well said. Well, at this point, we're going to take a very short break. Thank you for sharing so far. You're listening to the vision of Angela Grogan, who is running for mayor in the municipality of Port Hope. We'll be right back in a few moments. My name is Mark Johnston, your host for Your Vote, which is your TV's coverage of the 2022 municipal election. Welcome back. I'm Mark Johnston, your host for Your Vote, which is your TV's coverage of the municipal election of 2022. We have the great pleasure of welcoming Angela Grogan, who's running for mayor in the municipality of Port Hope. Angela, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
We want to get into some of the specific details around policy vision as mayor in Port Hope of what you'd like to achieve when it comes to certain key categories. Obviously, budget is a very foundational component of any operation in a municipality. So can you tell me a little about your vision for the budget of Port Hope?
Well, for the budget of Port Hope, I think we need to have a serious review of our budget. And we have to review the various operating expenses of the budget. And we have to look at how we can use funding to assist our budgets. Because there's no disclosures, it's very hard for me to speak on it, but I'm saying from my position as mayor, I would want to have a review of budgets. I would want to look at any available funding. I would want to see how we could amalgamate services and save money.
Okay.
So those are all the areas that I think I would really want to look at before I can speak specifically here on what I know about budget.
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you for that. I do hear some areas of passion for you, Angela, too, specifically in the area of social issues that we all communities deal with. But let's talk specifically about the municipality of Port Hope and some of the struggles and challenges that are there today and what you'd like to see different.
Yes, there's some struggles there, and I've been experienced some of those struggles as a minority in the community. I think the struggles is that for me, it was my voice, and for my neighbors, it's their voices are ignored or probably not seen as important or impactful that Port Hope needs right now. When I look at the transition and the location of Port Hope, we are the gateway to the GTA. We're in a unique position because we sit right next door to the GTA. So almost everything is happening there socially, ills or goods are coming to us. And unless we start being proactive, accepting that we are now a population of different people, different thoughts, different needs, including older people, we will not be ready to meet the challenge. And I always say you cannot prepare for today, yesterday. You have to prepare. Once you are aware that it's about to happen, you should be proactive. So socially, I'm seeing that Port Hope is coming along. We have Cultivate festivals. You're doing a good job. But we need to now reach out to other members of our community, embrace them, and bring them aboard.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Angela. When it comes to the day-to-day business, acting as mayor of a municipality, I would think that the interactivity between municipal, provincial, federal governments is a key component. And I'm curious to know your thoughts about that, were you to step into this position, of what your approach would be when it comes to working with other levels of government.
It's very important. It's very important. And that has been one of my platforms. We have to work with other governments. And how do I work with you? I have to let you be aware of my need. That's the first thing. And I think if I come to a person and give them my need, and they understand the need and maybe the urgency of the need, they're not going to fail me. So I think what I'm seeing in Port Hope, even with busing and health, that we have failed to engage the province and the federal government. And about 4 years ago, I went to the town hall meeting at the Legion. And I am the person who went up and spoke about transportation. And I was deflated by the comments of one of the sitting councillors. I said, we need a connecting bus to Oshawa. And his comment, which could be on record, said to me, look who lives in Oshawa. So as I walked back to my seat, I said to my friend, I'm coming in 4 years. That was my response. So we cannot flippantly make comments when serious matters are presented. If we don't know the answer, we have to stop, we have to collaborate, and we have to give thought as to why that person said that and how that made that person felt with our response. And then you see things about Ward 1, Ward 2, things about if they don't like the marriage, they can leave. These are comments that are recorded. We cannot speak that way. We have to speak in unity and in kindness when we are going to represent any people, anywhere.
Well, and I hear the term responsible government in what you're sharing, Angela,
Yes.
of how do we work together and bring our needs forward and build alliances.
And build alliances.
Thank you for that. You mentioned, was it 45% of the population in the municipality of Port Hope is in the senior category, is that correct?
I say approximately 45%.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'd like to look into that space, but also the contrast of a younger generation at the same time.
Yes,
so
that's
would
why
you tell me, Angela, your thoughts on an aging population in Port Hope, what their needs are and what your hopes would be there, but then conversely, also a younger generation?
Well, the needs of the urgent needs right now of our aging population is, where do I go? How can I afford to stay in my home with high taxes? What facilities are there for me within Port Hope? Am I going to be asked to leave because you don't have any long-term for me? What about our veterans who have served us that we don't even see as visible people in Port Hope? Here we are, we have things like the old hospital sitting, deteriorating. We have buildings just sitting that families could use for extended daycare centers that the municipality could develop. We need to be mindful that some of our seniors are now being charged extra fees by doctors for prescriptions that they can't afford. And when they seek for help, they're getting, we don't know about that. So as a municipality, a council, and a mayor, we need to try to know about things that affect our seniors. And I'm big on that. Our seniors should be A1. They've paid the price, they've paid the taxes, and they've given us the experience. And we need to value that.
Thank you for that. And if we were to flip the coin the other side, for a younger generation, there are families growing up in the municipality of Port Hope, newcomers coming into town that have a young generation with them, and schooling, education, healthcare. What are your thoughts for the younger generation of what you believe is important to cultivate and nurture as mayor?
We have to provide services and facilities, amenities that they would want to stay. It is okay to start growing something and then suddenly they realize there's no room here for me and they have to go. Yes, they can go away to colleges and universities, but we want them to want to come back. Why? Because we've got housing, we've got busing, we've got social activities, we've got recreational, we've got old people who want to mingle with, their grandparents are here, their parents are here. So yes, any area of a community that don't embrace young people is a failing. We need them.
A sense of belonging.
A sense of belonging.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you for that. Can we talk a bit about infrastructure currently in the municipality of Port Hope, Angela? Industry, manufacturing, the town of Coburg, similar situation, where there are some buildings that still stand today that have either not been converted to something with greater use while still honoring the history. I think that's a key component as well. What are your thoughts in the position of mayor of Port Hope around some of the past in Port Hope that can be reinvented or honored into the future?
Okay, I have been, I would say, blessed that when I arrived in Port Hope, my first week I went into Tim Hortons and I met someone from Port Hope who was born, bred, never left Port Hope. And just learning the history from him and his family really intrigued me and enlightened me. And the first thing I heard about was the hospital. You know, that's the big thing. And to this day, I always say to them, I think it was a good decision because the hospital is now almost, you know, equal to any that we could get in Toronto. I went there. I love it that we have such an outstanding hospital. So I thought that was a good decision. But then I look around and I see the downtown. It is vibrant, but it's not a mixed vibrancy. And because of that, it would only cater to one set of the community who wants to go there. You look around, Port Hope had lots of industry. It is depleted now. There's only one or two left. We have an industrial park, yes we do, but we have to create industry to expand our tax base and to help decrease the burden on property owners. We also have to have one that provides living wages so that our residents can find employment to help them meet the demands of expenses that happens in any community. We're no cheaper than any otherwhere else in Ontario. We're carrying the same burden of expense. And the lack of employment is big for me, the opportunities to be employed in Port Hope.
Great, thank you for that.
Thanks.
As we wind down towards the end of our segment here, Angela, I'm curious for our viewing audience, those that will make a vote as we move into the next category of government, municipality-wise, the idea of Mayor Sanderson has wound down his time, and potentially Mayor Grogan has come into that position. And what has she achieved in the first 4 years? So if you could dream into 4 years from now, looking back, what would you want people to say of your first term as mayor in Port Hope?
I would want them to say that she was open and she made herself available. I would want them to say that she collaborated with the federal and provincial government to bring new fundings and new opportunities that are available that we're not going after right now. In the sense of, you know, funding for accessory apartments. I would want her to say that we took back the old hospital and we got funding, or we are in the process of getting funding to create a long-term center for our residents that has a wing for veterans similar to Sunnybrook. That's my dream. That, and not only for Port Hope residents, but for Northumberland, because we're not isolating by ourselves. We're part of a, you know, a region. And I would want them to also say that we've seen a change in daycare and seniors, senior care, PSWs, and just overall, she did her best, and her best was enough to make a shift for someone else to carry on.
I think that's a perfect close, Angela. Thank you very much for your time and offering today.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, for having me. It's been a pleasure. And as I leave, I want to say, one voice, one Port Hope, a place for all to stay.
Excellent. Thank you for that closing. I appreciate it, Angela. My name is Mark Johnston, your host for Your Vote, which is your TV's coverage of the 2022 municipal election. And we've had the great pleasure of having Angela Grogan, who's running for mayor of Port Hope.